Hey guys, welcome back. As you probably have noticed, this is not the promised Deathcore of Krieg video. That is because I am still trying to figure out how I'm going to do that. So, stay tuned. It will be coming. When is sort of up in the air. So today I thought we'd talk about a faction that I personally know pretty much nothing about. The Harlequin. As you open this elegant tome, know that you hold in your hands the greatest repository of lore ever assembled regarding the Harlequins of the Laughing God. From their secret wars in the webway to their impossibly graceful dances of battle and bloodshed, this book will help you to gather your collection of Harlequins Citadel miniatures into a deadly mask. The Harlequins are the strangest and most enigmatic of all the Eldari factions. They are warrior acrobats, battlefield performers who make no distinction between war and art, and whose breathtaking feats of agility and violence make them the terror of all those they face. Using the hidden paths of the webway, the masks of the Harlequins strike without warning and kill without mercy. Wreathed in fractal illusion, supported by hurtling jet bikes and lightweight but lethal skimming gunships, the Harlequins unleash their weapons upon their enemies, closing to melee range under covering fire before the foe has time to grasp that the battle has begun. Gaming with a Harlequin's army is a unique and exciting challenge for veteran Warhammer 40k fans and newcomers alike. Swift and deadly in offense, reliant on speed and cunning to evade the return fire of the foe, Harlequins encourage both players to think hard about their every move and reward those who play with flair and panache. Upon the ghost plains of Yenavier, before the towering shrine of Lilith's despair, the Asuryani were brought to their knees by the foul legions of Nurgle. Yet it was at the battle's nadir, when all hope seemed lost and the keening towers sang their melancholic lament, that the mask of the midnight sorrow led the counterattack. Then were the plague god's servants hurled back in disarray, and the day won by those who felt the tears of the maiden burning cold upon their cheeks. Ghosts of the webway. Swift beyond belief and impossibly agile, Harlequins flow through battle like silk streamers in a hurricane. As they close with the foe, the players are in constant motion, a riot of prismatic color that dazzles the senses. The oncoming Harlequins sprint, leap, and weave, the blades and blasts of their terrified enemy whistling around them to little effect. Harlequins in battle prefer to rely upon speed and skill, then brute strength and resilience. suits shatter the the wearer's outline into a fractal polychromatic blur, causing each Harlequin to appear as an insubstantial storm of psychedelic color into which the panicked foe pour their fire to no avail. At the moment of lethal impact, however, the Harlequins prove all too real. The thunder of gunfire is their backbeat, the screams of the dying their accompaniment as they whirl through the enemy ranks. Every step of the battle is like a dance, each victim as much an unwilling partner as a mortal foe. Blade thrusts come lightning fast, sparks and blood raining down as their victims try desperately to block their attacker's offense. As all the while, the enemy wrestles with their worst fears reflected back at them in the Harlequins' ever-shifting masks. Where a single Harlequin in battle is a player upon a stage, an entire army of them is a performing company with a bloody tale to tell. Known as masks, these war bands fight with breathtaking synchronicity. Troops of Harlequins sprint across the battlefield, surging from hidden webway portals to strike without warning. Skyweaver jetbike crews engage the foe in an acrobatic ballet, streaking above the heads of the enemy to hurl spinning star bullets. Explosions blossom one after another, their roar a deafening crescendo accompanied by the howl of Star Weaver transports and Void Weaver gunships opening fire. Amidst the mayhem, the mask's elite choreography Amidst the mayhem, the mask's elite choreograph the carnage. Each troop master directs their players with the skill of an impresario and the strategic genius of a seasoned general. Death jesters send volleys of fire to cut down key targets, always with an eye for what cruel humor they can find in the kill. Enigmatic shadow seers use their phantasmic powers to terrify and misdirect, drowning the enemy in nightmare visions. And should one of the dreaded solitaires deign to join a battle, they can slaughter entire enemy regiments in impossible displays of martial prowess. To the untrained eye, the onset of a Harlequin mask is a riotous confusion of sound, color, and violence. Yet, to refined Eldari senses, clear patterns are revealed. Every moment is orchestrated. Every player knows implicitly how and when their comrades will strike. This is war made art, and art made war. Battle fought with perfect rhythm and meaning, and it is as lethal as it is spectacular. They come masked and clad in motley, performers and acrobats and fools. Yet the true fools are they who judge the Harlequins at face value, who underestimate their murderous malice and utter ruthless dedication to their cause. Show me one who mocks the Harlequins as clowns, and I shall show you a corpse in the making. Autarch and Antilith, Thilian of Craftworld Saim Han. Devotees of Cegorach. The Harlequins are superlative battlefield artists, yet they are more than just warriors. Every Harlequin is a devoted servant of Cegorach, the Laughing God, the only Eldari deity said to have survived the birth of Slaanesh. While depicted as an enigmatic and sinister trickster, whose deeds are far from altruistic, Cegorach is also the sworn enemy of the dark gods of chaos, and of Slaanesh in particular. It was Slaanesh, known to the Eldari as She Who Thirsts, who destroyed their ancient empire and doomed their peoples to a slow and torturous decline. Thus, the Harlequins have fought to exact Cegorach's vengeance upon Slaanesh for millennia. They strike without warning, wreaking devastation before vanishing as suddenly as they came. The Harlequins have slaughtered zealous cults, assassinated mighty chaos champions, and undone countless foul plans before they could manifest. Sometimes these actions have saved the worlds of other races, most commonly of humanity. But there is no kindness in the Harlequins' deeds. They are every bit as ineffable as the deity they worship, and if they are concerned with the survival of any species in the galaxy, ultimately, it is their own. The duties of the masks extend beyond warfare. Every Harlequin is a performer, versed in the mythic cycles of the Eldari and the countless allegorical tales that stem from them. The masks travel endlessly through the interstitial dimensions, known as the Webway, moving between craft worlds, exodite worlds, and the dark city of Cumorah. Wherever they go, the Harlequins ply their performing arts, combining music, dance, ritual combat, nuanced oration, and a breathtaking suite of illusory and psychoactive effects to captivate Eldari audiences. The Harlequins perform for more than mere entertainment. Every show they put on is a lesson and a cautionary tale, a fragment of the culture of the ancient Eldari presented as a reminder and a warning to their modern descendants. The most important dance that the Harlequins perform is the tale of the Fall, the monstrous spiritual apocalypse during which Slaanesh was birthed and the Eldari all but annihilated. Their vivid performances ensure that the horrors of that time will never be forgotten, and its mistakes never repeated. The Harlequins have other duties also. They stalk the Webway, seeking to excise the taint of chaos and alien invasion wherever it is found. They guard the vast repository of forbidden lore known as the Black Library, preventing its dangerous secrets from falling into the hands of those who would do great harm with them. The Harlequins also act as ambassadors, for they alone can travel freely through all the dimensions of the Eldari. When needs must, the Harlequins have brokered uneasy deals between the Asuriani of the Craft Worlds and the Drukari of Cumorah, bidding their kin put aside their differences in order to fight for their people's future. Now, though, the Harlequins face a new peril. The webway, always a fractured and hazardous realm, has been sorely damaged by the opening of the Great Rift. Alien invaders and chaos-worshipping interlopers spill through its sundered gates in numbers never before seen, endangering all that the Harlequins are and all they strive to achieve. As the danger grows greater, so the masks become ever more vicious and manipulative, calling in favors long owed, and committing whatever atrocities they must in the name of the laughing god. The Harlequins have a higher purpose, a final act they mean to see performed in full, to the eternal detriment of she who thirsts, and they will pay whatever blood price they must in order to see their work complete. Cegorach. The Harlequins worship a being known as Cegorach, the Laughing God, also called the First Fool or the Great Harlequin. Cegorach is a trickster god, by turns mocking, sinister, vindictive, and enigmatic. His pranks punish gods and mortals alike for overweening pride, and stories such as the Thief of Cain's Blade and the Wedding of Screams remain cautionary fables in Eldari culture to this day. Alone among the Eldari gods, Cegorach survived the fall and escaped the fate of the rest of the pantheon. The story goes that while Slaanesh fought with Kayla Mensha Cain, the laughing god escaped into the webway and hid amongst its myriad tunnels. These tales suggest that he remains there still, unassailable, laughing at the gods of chaos as he hatches bitter plans for revenge. There are those who claim that Cegorach walks amongst his children from time to time, wearing the disguise of an anonymous Harlequin player. Whatever the truth of such tales, the Laughing God is the only authority that the Harlequins recognize as they fight their wars and perform their mythic dances across the void in his name. The fall of the Eldari. Long ago, at a time turned to dust and echoes, the Eldari ruled the stars. The galaxy was theirs to lord over and to explore as they saw fit, and no enemy existed that they could not vanquish with ease. Their rule seemed destined to last in perpetuity, yet it all came to an end in a single moment of unimaginable horror. The golden age of the Eldari began in a time before humanity had even discovered the gift of fire. Their elegant fleets plied the void, acquiring world after world for the Eldari Empire, and sweeping aside any that dared defy them. They possessed unparalleled mastery of the webway, the labyrinth dimension whose tunnels spread across the galaxy like capillaries of a living being, allowing the Eldari to cross the stellar void in a matter of days. Armed with technologies so sublimely powerful that they seemed like sorcery, possessed of wisdom beyond the ken of any other living race, the Eldari soon stood in mastery over much of the galaxy. In that time, the Eldari lived fulfilling lives, safe in the knowledge that their deaths were but doorways into their next rebirth, and another long and pleasurable span of existence. They knew neither fear nor privation, for their technologies were so advanced that they could ignite or extinguish stars on a whim, and any manual hardship their race had ever known was no longer a concern. Freed from the constraints of toil and mortality, possessed of psyches that could experience extremes of emotion and sensation far beyond those known by most beings, the ancient Eldari were free to pursue their every inclination. Art, science, literature, performance, philosophy, and myriad other disciplines became their fascination, as did the unburdened and uninhibited exploration of sensory input and hedonism. The Eldari had always worshipped a broad pantheon of powerful deities, enshrining their symbolism and teachings within every aspect of their daily lives. Yet gradually, as their power became truly unassailable, and the universe surrendered its secrets to them one at a time, the Eldari began to suffer from delusions of their own functional omnipotence. Their worship of the gods waned, replaced by narcissism and devotion to self-proclaimed prophets of sensation and pleasure. The magnificent minds of the Eldari began to consume themselves. Fascination became obsession, nobility curdled into arrogance, and a gradual rot of the soul took hold. The corruption spread slowly, a decline spanning millennia, during which the Eldari became an indolent and self-obsessed people, driven by a singular desire for ever greater and more intense acts of self-gratification. From artistic endeavors that exceeded the bounds of sanity and safety, to obsessive perfectionism that ended in terrible bloodshed, to the insidious rise of the pleasure cults, the civilization of the ancient Eldari spiraled downwards into darker and more obscene depths. Blood ran red in the streets, grinning murderers haunted the shadows, unspeakable horrors were wrought in the name of experience and enlightenment, and the Eldari gods could do nothing but watch and rage and weep. Inevitable damnation. The warp is a dark and dangerous realm that lays behind the skin of real space. It is an endless, formless ocean of energy in which malefic entities hunt, and whose infinite canvas is shaped by the emotions and desires of mortal minds. It was from a low accretion of these energies that the Chaos gods Khorne, Nurgle, and Tzeentch had been born, and for all their knowledge, the Eldari failed to realize that their frenzied plunge into depravity was bringing a new deity into being. The proto-entity that would become Slaanesh coalesced slowly, suckling upon the wanton cruelty and psychotic overindulgence of the Eldari. The warning signs were there, for those who still retained sufficient grasp on reality to see them. The first to act upon them were the Exodites, who set off in tribes to inhabit far-flung idyls. That is not a word I have ever seen before. Idylls. Exodites who set off in tribes to inhabit far-flung ideals known as maiden worlds. These Exodites were mocked by the majority of the Eldari, for they eschewed much of their race's supreme technologies, and returned instead to a simpler and more spiritual way of life. Yet the Exodites alone would wholly avoid the horror that was to follow. The next escapees were the Craftworlders, those who would come to be known as the Asuryani. These were the Eldari who pulled back from the brink of damnation, fleeing the death throes of their twisted empire as their parent society grew ever more depraved. They fled aboard vast arks known as craftworlds, planet-sized vessels that were each a self-sufficient realm. Of those who remained in the webway, the most debased were the forebearers of the Drukhari. Eschewing both repentance and escape, they instead sought hidden sanctuaries within which to continue their debauched practices. These Eldari crafted sub-realms within the webway, and ruled over them like malicious gods. Their sanctuaries would not wholly spare them, but nor would they face the full and terrible consequences of an apocalypse that they had done much to cause. Glutted upon an endless psychic outpouring of lust, cruelty, obsession, and pain, Slaanesh at last burst into being as a fully formed chaos god. His birth scream was a psychic maelstrom, an apocalyptic shockwave of hellish energies that raced out across the Eldari Empire and blasted the souls of its denizens from their bodies. He devoured them all in a gluttonous orgy, growing stronger and more monstrous with every mote life force he consumed. Blazing with unholy power, Slaanesh set upon the Eldari pantheon, destroying and devouring each deity in turn. Only Cegorach is said to have escaped, slipping into the labyrinthine webway, even as Slaanesh battled mighty Kayla Mensha Kane. In a heartbeat, the glorious empire of the Eldari had been transformed into a twisted realm of blasted ghost worlds, a place where the infernal energies of the warp spilled out into real space. Only scattered refugees survived, paltry fragments of a once great people, now doomed to a slow decline towards extinction. The Exodites, the Drukhari, the Asuryani, and the Harlequins were all that remained of their race, and all were forced to live with the knowledge that she who thirsts would hunt their souls for all eternity. Each faction found their own ways to preserve their souls from Slaanesh, to carry on and survive in a galaxy rendered suddenly hostile and terrifying. None realized, as they strove for meaning, for strength, or for simple survival, that they had borne the seeds of vengeance with them into the galactic hinterlands. The Harlequins of the Laughing God had been, first and foremost, performers within the society of the ancient Eldari. As that society collapsed, they had held to the teachings of their deity, becoming ever more capable of defending them by force and bearing them out into the galaxy aboard craft worlds and Exodite ships, or within shielded Comorite sub-realms. Now the Harlequins answer the call of Cegorach, the only surviving Eldari deity, and prepared to exact bloody revenge upon Slaanesh and all his foul get. More would follow in their wake as the millennia passed, for a war had begun, a conflict veiled in illusion and fueled by a hatred that could never be slaked. We are a people damned by the actions of our forebearers. We are brought into existence already doomed, paying a price unending for deeds committed millennia before our birth. The younger races of the galaxy believe that they endure terrible struggles, but what do they know of hardship? What can they possibly claim to understand of struggle, loss, suffering? They who live for an eye blink amidst teeming empires of souls unnumbered. But we know, we remember, for the Harlequins will never let us forget what our people did, what we so catastrophically wrought, what we must fight to our last dying breath. Elithog star sign, warrior poet of Craftworld, Locke. The Soul Banquet. From the moment that Slaanesh burst into being, the soul of every living Eldari was forfeit. Upon the death of the body, an unprotected Eldari soul would be dragged into the warp, and thence to an eternity of hideous torment within the gullet of she who thirsts. The divergent factions of Eldari that survived the fall found ways to avoid this unspeakable fate. The Asuriani of the craft worlds developed spirit stones, beautiful gems that caught the departing soul at the moment of death and protected it long enough to be released into a craft world's infinity circuit. There, the Eldari souls would be preserved so long as the craft world itself endured. The Exodites practiced a variant of the same strange process, their souls becoming one with the world spirit of their home planet upon their deaths. By comparison, the Drukhari of Gamora found themselves cursed with an altogether more ghoulish method of self-preservation, forced to feed off the pain and misery of other living beings in order to prevent their own existences being slowly and agonizingly leached away by Slaanesh. The Harlequins require no such spiritual defenses. When a Harlequin falls, Cegorach instantly snatches their souls away, thus denying Slaanesh his feast. How this can be, and what fate awaits those souls within the grasp of the laughing god, are secrets that the Harlequins have never deigned to share with the rest of their race. And that, I believe, is where we are going to pause. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you aren't too disappointed that it's not deathcore. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.